dream again. We are the emissaries from the void.
Okay, welcome back to Emissaries from the Void.
From the void.
I'm Tristan.
I'm Ari, and I just got over the worst cold of my fucking life, y'all.
Yeah, we're coming back to this movie a little bit later than we usually do.
I caught the plague. It was no good. But I am recovered. I am invigorated, and we're going to talk about The Cell.
The Cell.
The Cell.
Which is a movie I had actually never heard of.
Yes. This is a movie that I saw growing up a lot of times because my mom had it in her DVD collection. So this film was released in 2000, so it's a millennial film.
Mm-hmm.
This film is only a few years younger than I am, so we're on the upper limits there. It was made for a budget of $33 million, and it was made by a director named Tarsim Singh.
Okay.
Which I do not know anything else they have done.
No.
I just know about The Cell, and I thought that it was a great addition. By the time this episode comes out, we will have made and produced a Hellraiser episode, and we are in the process of watching multiple Hellraiser movies in order to make an episode kind of about the entire series, mostly because our intent is to kind of talk about it overall, and Tristan felt like by just watching the first film, he didn't really have much of a basis to really talk about it. So because of that, we've been watching those, in the off weeks to try and, get an episode put together. And when we watched the second Hellraiser movie, I came to the conclusion that The Cell would be a great thematic companion to that.
Right. Yep.
So, Tristan, what was The Cell about?
I guess The Cell is about healing inner trauma and the folly of trying to force someone to heal, trying to do it for them, I guess. And, if all else fails, you can just drown them.
I would say a major theme in the film is control. On one hand, you have the malignant side of our prospective serial killer who he's being controlled by this thing. And then on the other hand, you have this desire to control the narrative of someone's mind to get them to wake up or to get them to come out of their fantasy world. And so our protagonist and our antagonist both are wrestling with the ideas of control. One is trying to control themselves and one is trying to control others. But she's trying to control others to help them, whereas he's a serial killer.
Right. So to briefly synopsize, Jennifer Lopez,
whose character name is Catherine Dean,
has been employed seemingly by one man to go into the mind of his comatose son and try to kind of coax him out of his coma.
Yes, because he has a special kind of schizophrenia that's caused this condition. And so the father must be incredibly wealthy because they have this entire institution and we don't really see anything else that this place does. But there's a lot of staff here. There's so many people in the background. The technocracy is exploring the limits of the mind, I suppose.
Yeah.
To tie this into this World of Darkness theme that I've been on for the last couple of episodes.
Yeah, why not? And so, separate from her, a serial killer who kidnaps women and traps them in these tanks that slowly fill with water. He drowns them, and he also he bleaches them and turns them into dolls in a way.
His ritual seems to be about turning them into this perfect form that then he meditates on as he suspends himself over them. And the serial killer's name is Karl Rudolph Starger. And they say his name 20 million times in this movie. Because, when you're a serial killer, you get upgraded. No one says just your name anymore. They say your full name.
Right. Of course.
And he's played by Vincent D'Onofrio. So the Kingpin in the Daredevil show. and Private Pile from Full Metal Jacket, I believe. And then, of course, Jennifer Lopez is Jennifer Lopez. And, you know, this is one of those movies where it's so aesthetically beautiful that Jennifer Lopez being really hot doesn't really detract from it. Like, there's a lot of roles where she just is playing like a normal person and she's like a supermodel, and it's like, there's no fucking way. But in this movie, everything is kind of very picturesque, and it's a very intentionally framed film. Yeah.
And then there's Vince Vaughn,
who just is out of place.
Yeah, we're expected to buy Vince Vaughn as a jaded FBI agent tracking down killers, like mind hunting them.
Yeah, hunting all these minds.
Yeah. I will say I got more used to him as the movie went along, but I never did I buy him as like...
To be fair, though, would you have that baggage if you had not known the other things that he was in? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because like this is one of his earlier films.
Yeah, pre-Dodgeball.
Yeah, so like this is one of those things where it's like, you know, at the time, this was not like he had a reputation like he has now.
He was in Lost World, Jurassic Park. I think that probably came out before this.
And that was a serious role. I mean, he was playing a somewhat comedic relief character in a serious role.
Yeah.
And in this film, he does have a bit of that like vibe, even though I think it's unintentional, because he's just really sarcastic and like, I don't know.
I feel as his career went along, he found his niche and he stopped trying to break out of it.
Yeah. Well, you know, there's two types of actors that make it. And they're the ones who either accept their typecast or they are transcendent. Like, you know, for example, if you watch a movie and Tilda Swinton's in it, she's playing a very specific role almost always. She's one of those ones who's just embraced that she's a kind of a very uncanny looking person, so she's going to play uncanny roles. Whereas you have someone like, I don't know, Jeffrey Combs, who kind of just fucking disappears into whatever role you give him, and he can play like 20 different people on Star Trek, and you don't even necessarily recognize him most of the time.
Yeah. So Vince Vaughn is like the lead investigator. And wouldn't you know it, as the SWAT people raid his home, he's already fallen into this exact type of coma.
What a coincidence.
Yeah, because he has that same hyper-specific type of schizophrenia.
Triggered by water, apparently, is a thing.
He like has to take aspirin or whatever to like stave off.
Yeah, like my boy, like he, you know, if it wasn't going to be this hyper specific schizophrenia that was going to get him, it was going to get liver failure that was going to get him. Because like this guy just like pops these Tylenols. Like Tylenol does not cause autism, but it's also not a cure all for all your problems. If you're having a fucking weird variant personality schizophrenic meltdown, I don't know if the Tylenol is going to help with your headache.
Yeah, so he passes out. He's in a coma. The problem is that he has kidnapped another victim, and nobody knows where he keeps them.
And despite being just like kind of a bumfuck serial killer who has like a very quaint house, he somehow has this sophisticated murder system.
Yeah. He's a bit of a jigsaw.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck? Like, okay, so like we see this motherfucker's house. Like we know where he lives and how he lives, but he somehow has the means to produce this cell that can fill with water on a timer, and like it's just and he has like 8 cameras around, and it's
and he has a feed from those cameras to his home.
Yeah, and it's like,
but in a way that they can't trace.
Well,
apparently.
Maybe it's just like the recorded VHS tapes that he has.
It was really implied that it was live.
Yeah, you're right. But like still, it's just one of those things where it's just like drowning them and then turning them into a doll with a bunch of bleach. That works when it comes to serial killers. Also, y'all, if you guys hear the howling of doom outside, it's because it's decided to be like 40-mile-per-hour winds
Colorado
outside.
is transitioning to winter at the moment. And it's always...
we're in the loading screen right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, he went to Costco and bought bleach in bulk, but he found the time to like make all of the different bleach bottles look super grimy and covered in grossness. So is he refilling all the bleach bottles? And if that's the case, why doesn't he just have one tank full of bleach?
Right.
Because the bottles look reused.
All right, we're getting mired in the details
No,
here,
but like it's important to be like, okay, like there's a huge discrepancy between how he's presented as a serial killer and the cleanliness, and like the sophistication of his murder contraption.
Yeah.
It's important detail because
he
it's
does
like
seem to be like kind of obsessed with cleanliness. He has a rare breed of albino. I don't remember.
albino dog named Valentine, and they are the most goodest boy ever because I can say that because I have a good girl.
Best actor in the film.
Yeah, best Valentine, 10 out of 10. Would pet. Even though Valentine is complicit in the kidnapping of the woman, he did no wrong. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's a good boy.
Yeah.
And our main protagonist adopts the dog, so that's everyone's like rightfully creeped out by that a little bit, but here we are.
Yeah, so Jennifer Lopez has to go into the mind of the killer in order to find some sort of clue to where he keeps his victims. And there's a ticking clock because the cell is filling with water, but also draining and then refilling. It's a form of psychological torture that he puts his victims through,
which does track for a serial killer.
Yeah.
Like the torture element, I do like, and of course it has to be a plot contrivance for the sake of the film. But like, we could have achieved the same effect by having it be that she's just in a cell and starving. Yeah. And like that's why we have to find, because like the film of the pace of this film is very frenetic. Everyone's in a huge rush. Like the entire plot of this movie takes place over the course of like 2 days. So it's like, okay, I get it, but also like she could have just been in a cell.
Yeah, I mean, I guess basically like from there, the kind of crux of the conflict is they set up that like if you become convinced that what you're experiencing is real while you're in someone else's brain, like you kind of get sucked into their coma.
Yeah, and your mind makes it real. It's Matrix rules.
Yeah. If you die in the game, you die in real life, etc. Eventually, Vince Vaughn joins her in his brain
because she gets convinced it's real and then gets fucking mind raped.
Of course. But she also has this conflict of where she's like too invested in like solving his psychological issues, whereas Vince Vaughn just wants
the answer.
The clue.
Yeah. Which makes sense because that's her job. Her job is trying to help people. Right. Like she's a like, psychologist.
He's not coming out of the coma anytime.
Well,
she could come back to this project.
That's true. But like that, I kind of like that aspect of her character though, is that she's so arrogant that she thinks that she can save him.
Yeah, it's a very important character flaw to the theming, for sure.
Right, yeah. Anyway, Vince Vaughn, who I could look up his name, but he's just Vince Vaughn. He solves the mystery. Like, it's kind of interesting because this movie is very postmodern in its writing, in that the main protagonist doesn't actually solve the mystery.
Yeah.
It's the side character who solves the mystery.
Yeah, it's true.
She fails in this film to succeed in her mission. Like, we get the implication that she's going to make a lot of progress with Mr. E, who is her main client, which we need to stress that his name is Mr. E. Mystery.
That the child's name is Mr. E, like he's fucking Edward Nygma, the Riddler.
Yeah, I know. And it's so funny because we sat, I was waiting for you to say it because we sat here for like 10 minutes after the movie and just riffed on him being called Mr. E.
Yeah.
But she seems to be like trying to redeem herself because she failed to save Starger. And it's like, okay, I get that. And I like that. I really appreciate that aspect of this film because she is not a perfect goody two shoes, saves the day and solves the problem. She's very flawed and very she's very conceited. Like, she's got like angel imagery around her house, and like she's got a huge savior messiah complex.
Yes, it's kind of subtextual. I felt
Yeah.
in the movie.
The
Because
movie doesn't like hold your nose to it or anything, but it's there.
it felt like tonally the movie was going for a people-pleasing thriller type movie, and the commentary on her character was kind of pushed to the background.
In this case, though, do you think that maybe helps it on a narrative level? Like, do you feel like it's better that it's subtextual?
I don't, but
Okay. What would you have preferred then about her characterization?
more of a sense that she fucked up. Because, like, just to go over the ending, the Vince Vaughn part goes exactly as you would expect. Like,
Yeah, he just kind of
saves
shows
her,
up and saves
whatever.
the day.
But she has a final showdown. She invites Starger into her own mind and confronts. There's basically like two versions of him because he has this schizophrenia. There's his inner child, which is abused and scared, and this like monstrous emperor kind of persona that controls him and makes him do monstrous things. She tries to just murder that version of him. When she stabs the shadow self, the child starts bleeding. And at that point, she's like, oh, I can't fix this. And the child has asked her, like, just drown me, basically.
There's actually like three versions of him because there's the inner child, and then there is like a version of him just as he is. And then there is the emperor. And the version of him as he is the one who basically says like, hey, you know, I found this bird one time and I knew that my dad was going to like do something horrible to it. So I mercy killed it.
Right.
And honestly, like the way that he D'Onofrio delivers these lines, it's so good. Like he is really good in this movie.
He really is.
And he's just like, you know, he's like, look, you know, just mercy kill me, please, because I am trapped and I'm beyond saving.
And she's like, nah, stab. Oh, shit. And then she's like, okay, yeah, I guess I will actually drown you.
So she commits murder.
Yep.
And like when we talk about her not suffering any consequences, it's because like she doesn't suffer any narrative consequences for this beyond just the fact that she has to kill him. Like she loses, she fails.
Yeah.
And she doesn't want to do that. But like also she locks everybody else out of the system. They're telling her, don't do this. You're risking your career.
Yep.
And she does it anyway and then kills him. And the only reason she gets to
has her job again.
Yeah, she still gets to work with Mr. E and like she still gets to do everything, and then she gets to like take Starker's dog, and like it's
if you kill a serial killer, you get their dog.
Yeah, you know, it's Highlander rules.
If you want it.
Yeah, it's Highlander rules, you know. You're just you're like Will Graham from Hannibal. You just have like a billion dogs because that's all the serial killers he's caught.
Yeah.
Shout out Hannibal, one of the best TV shows ever. Honestly, this film and Hannibal kind of remind me of each other on a like a moody level. Like they're very they're very beautifully shot, artsy kind of experiences.
Yeah. I definitely see where you're coming from.
I mean, Hannibal is way more bleak, of course, but this film still has a similar kind of vibe to it for sure. And it also deals with a serial killer and you know the mind of a serial killer and trying to understand. Like the entirety of the show Hannibal is basically just Hannibal trying to get Will Graham to understand him. So you know some thematic overcross. The only reason I bring it up though is because I think it's a good way to transition into the visual elements of this film. How do you feel about the visual aspect of this movie?
When we're like in the dreamscape, it's like really beautiful, especially Mr. E's like desert dreamscape, which is what we get the opening credits over. Lots of massive dunes with her like walking across and really beautifully shots, rich colors. Then the stuff in the real world is like more bleak and
grounded,
dingy.
But still very colorful. This movie is not afraid of color.
I'm not really remembering the color in the real world because, like, it's
just not. No, it's just not muted. It's just not like modern movies these days would like mute the fuck out of all the colors, like because The Matrix did it. The Matrix made everything greenwashed.
Yeah.
And now in this film, like the suits they wear when they go into the machine, it's like very bright red, visceral color. Or like when we get her apartment, like when she goes home at the beginning of the film, and we are cutting between her at home and him kidnapping, the serial killer Starger kidnapping the woman, and we cut between the two, and her home is very bright and colorful, and it's
and then Starger's mindscape is kind of,
it's a 9 Inch Nails video.
That's a good way to put it, but extra baroque.
Like when we get like, there's like a combination between like Victorian medicalism and then like modern locations interspliced with strange mechanisms. You can see where I see the aesthetic similarities between this and the Labyrinth in Hellraiser 2.
Yeah.
Like all the Cenobite devices in Hellraiser 2 are very similar to the devices that the Emperor uses, and like how he's got, like when she sees him for the second time and he's steps up from the throne and the cape pulls out from the walls around, and it's all the glyphs are revealed, and then the cape itself is hooked into his back.
This is where we get some really good costume and set design.
And just very imaginative, because it's someone's mind. It would have been so easy for this film to just kind of phone it in with it, but they were like, no, we're gonna Del Toro this. Like this film feels like a fucking Del Toro film.
It does, like
aesthetically, like it looks like fucking Hellboy, and the depth of the like set design, like when she wakes up and she's in this middle of this like bombed out fucking waterfall labyrinth of concrete ruins, and
very evocative, very moody. I kind of wish we spent more time in dreamscape places, but
I agree to that, because like this was the first time I had seen this film in like 10 years, and I remembered the dreamscape being more
because essentially we get 3 dreamscapes, and her own we see the least of. It's just one set. It kind of
looks like a stage.
It does. It's very, very stage play, very like kind of Greek columns, white stairs, sort of mythical forest. I wish we spent more time in there, because like you easily could have. Like there's so much meat in that section of like exploring, actually interacting with Starger's mind other than the abusive part, and figuring out whether she can hurt the shadow self. It could have also explored more of her own psyche. It could have dealt with like, what do we call it, savior complex,
her messiah complex, and savior complex.
Could have dealt with that kind of more directly, and I think that would have been really interesting.
Yeah, you know what? I can concur for sure. I think because they do a lot in this movie with like the, we don't really believe this technology is actually working kind of thing. Like they have that angle come up a few times.
Yeah.
And it would have been more interesting if we just don't get any of the investigation outside, and we just are with her and in the dreamscape, and we have our breaks where she comes out of the dreamscape or whatever. But the movie having all of the stuff where we actually get to see and are reminded about the victim, I feel it takes away from the time that could have been spent on the more interesting part of this film.
Yeah.
Or like have the FBI's angle just be like, we need to have him wake up so that he can serve justice for what he's done. Right, because her goal is to wake people up.
Right, that's true.
So, like, just be like, that's her goal, not necessarily finding a victim. Like, I know they have to have urgency, and they want to put the water metaphor there, and they want to have the kidnapped woman be in a cell, just like the cell of our minds when we're in a coma. Like, I get it, but it's just one of those things where it's like, if they had just had all that in the background and we don't get any more of it, like, we get it as the inciting incident for the film, and then we cut to them bringing his Starger's body to the facility, and it's like, we're gonna go into his mind and stuff, and then after that we just don't get any more outside stuff until the end of the film. It may have been more, at least it would have given more of an air of like, is this even gonna work? Can you really connect with someone else's mind and truly understand what they are thinking and feeling?
Honestly, this whole movie kind of operates on dream logic, even when they're not on the psychic plane or whatever.
And they could have bypassed that entirely by just having it all be dream logic.
Yeah. If you look at just the outside parts and like the procedural elements, it's pretty silly. Like the clue that Vince Vaughn gets is just a symbol that he sees, and he remembers having seen it on the operating table.
Right. So he didn't get any new information.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, hey, yeah, we should have investigated that. And then they were like, oh, yeah, that led us right there.
I think that maybe alternatively, if this film had just been focused on like, we caught him, he went into a coma, and we need to understand him.
Mm-hmm.
And the film was just kind of like a slower, suspenseful exploration of the mind of a killer.
Yeah.
It would have been more interesting, in my opinion.
I have to concur.
Yeah, so we've talked about the two main characters, the protagonist, the antagonist. We talked about overall plot. So let's talk themes a little bit here.
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the themes that I find in this film is the theme of control.
Mm-hmm.
When I say that, I'm kind of referring to just the idea of that we all want to conquer our shadow self in some way.
Yeah.
Like Starger is an exaggerated example, but he's an example of someone who has not done any shadow work, has no control over his shadow self, has no real like basis for having any kind of control over himself. So he kills people. He does all these horrible things.
Mm-hmm.
And she, Jennifer Lopez,
Yeah.
she tries with everything in her arsenal to kill his shadow self, to save him.
Yeah.
But our inner child cannot be divorced from our shadow self, because it is the trauma that the inner child has succumbed to that has created the shadow self to begin with.
Right.
And so the idea of control, of how do you control yourself when you have these impulses? And it's not just Starger who is like this. Many of us have an emperor, empress inside of us that desires control, desires domination over the things that inflict wounds upon us.
Yeah.
Inside of us is that force,
Right.
that hunger, that craving. It's only natural to want to have dominion over yourself.
Yeah.
And it's really telling that when she pulls him into her mind, what is one of the first things that she does is to like deify herself.
Yeah. Basically.
She's dressed very religiously coded.
Yeah.
And like, you know, like the Madonna.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, okay. So even she has this same desire for dominion of herself,
Yeah.
to control.
She seems like she might be the kind of person who tries to help others as a way to avoid dealing with her own issues.
Yeah, that could be true as well. And also, like, the lesson she learns in this film is that she needs to bring Mr. E into her mind so she can control the narrative.
Yeah.
Which I don't. That's not a good message.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the lesson she should have learned from this.
Yeah.
But I'm not really sure what lesson she really could have learned from this other than that, honestly. Like, that is what the movie teaches her.
Right.
But I don't think it's a good thing. I think that her character is in a worse position at the end of this film than she started.
I mean, I guess we have to determine, like, what does inviting someone into her mind rather than going into theirs, what does that represent?
Her taking control.
Yeah. I guess,
Because when she pulls Starger into her mind, she's like, my mind, my rules.
Yeah.
And
she does.
Then she does that with Mr. E, because she's like, well, because she can make Mr. E relive the boat incident that like he's been avoiding. Like, the reason why Mr. E's mind is a desert is because he's scared of the water that caused his problem.
Right.
He was on a boating accident, like, as he's a kid, and he was in a pretty horrible boating accident, and it put him in a coma because it triggered this thing.
Yeah.
And so his mind is a desert, and she's trying to introduce water into his mindscape, and his shadow self won't let her do it. So she pulls him into her mind so that she can force him to do it, which I don't think is a good message to receive.
Yeah, I feel like there should have been an epilogue, like an after credit sequence where she's giving up and just drowning him too. Yeah, I just want there to be like some sort of like actual therapy metaphor where like it's not just her doubling down on controlling other people.
Right, because like so far, a dark song is the best therapy metaphor that we've had in any of these films, and that's not a good therapy metaphor either.
I mean, it is. It's just like heightened to a degree that like
Right, like
Yeah.
a abusive level.
Right.
But like, still, my point is it's like, oh my god, like. And what do you think about the use of baptism as a symbol in this? Like,
Right.
what is that all about?
Yeah, because the incident, I forgot about that until you said it, but Starger's incident where he developed this schizophrenia was his baptism, which was done in a very old-fashioned, like in a river kind of way.
Yeah.
And he said that his father like held him under for too long. Yeah, there's definitely like themes of religious trauma. We also have like of the angel imagery. I'm not sure exactly like how those intersect per se.
I kind of put it as like we all kind of have a God complex in us. When your God complex is tempered by your inner child, you are a healthy person. And when it is not, you are Starger. Because she has the same thing, but there's no delineation between her child self and this presentation. They are the same person.
Right.
She channels her darkness when she fights Starger's emperor persona. Her outfit changes. Her makeup's all black and gothy and shit, and she's got this massive crossbow that she's shooting him with. And she's in tune with her own shadow self enough that she isn't a separate person.
Right.
She has absorbed her shadow self as, you know, a healthy person, even though she is not a good person, in my opinion. She's definitely got a lot of problems. She wants to be a good person, and she's not fragmented like Starger is or Mr. E is. Mr. E is also a fragmented person.
Right.
That's kind of where I see the difference. And the religious imagery seems to tie into that. It's like we're all God.
Yeah.
Right? We're all a piece of that. Divinity is something that you achieve. It's not something that is externalized to you. It can be external to you, but it is also within you.
And maybe there's something where like Starger's experience with religion was tied to abuse. So his shadow self like became this god that seeks to abuse others in very similar ways.
Like stringing up your intestines on a wheel.
That's something that happens in the dreamscape. Yeah.
That's probably one of the more visceral things in this. The most Hellraiser that this film gets is when we see all of the puppets at the very beginning and when Vince Vaughn is getting disemboweled.
Right.
Okay. What other themes do you think you see in those?
Well, talking about like trying really hard to save somebody, I think we could talk about Twin Peaks.
Let's talk about
How
Twin
novel.
Peaks. Absolutely.
We could talk about Twin Peaks on Emissaries from the Void.
You know, honestly, we haven't really talked about it like that much as
Yes.
you'd expect, given the fact that we're both huge Lynch nerds.
But I think you could see Jennifer Lopez's character as kind of similar to Coop, to Agent Cooper. Agent Cooper ultimately doesn't do much good for the world.
No. He does have the best advice ever, though, which is that every day, once a day, give yourself a present. And honestly, I've taken that advice to heart.
Yeah. He's a lovable guy. He's
just like she is. She's a pleasant person. Like, but she's clearly got serious problems.
They're both ostensibly good at what they do on at least a technical level, but you know, Cooper is kind of an audience surrogate in a way where he's driven by the mystery. And you know, obviously Mr. E, blah, blah, blah. But
yeah, we really don't like that the character's name is Mr. E. It's a little too heavy-handed.
This movie could have easily been directed by Andrew Niccol, except it would have been ass ugly if he had done it. But
could you imagine this film made by Lynch, though?
oh god, Yeah, that would be great. I guess my point is that Cooper, he's relentlessly driven to unravel this mystery, and he ultimately just gets people hurt. Like,
That's true. He does cause a lot of the suffering in that. Well, more he's a catalyst for it, because the demons are the ones that are really causing the suffering.
I mean, yeah. But like, the one thing he does that's heroic is rescuing Audrey from One-Eyed Jack's, but she wouldn't have been there if he hadn't been involved. So
he basically, the best thing he ever did was clean up his own mess.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's other stuff in the return that I won't spoil for you, but that continues to kind of be his theme. And we get that in his backstory too. Like, everyone he falls in love with gets murdered or trapped in the Black Lodge. And so, yeah, I guess talking about Mr. E and Jennifer Lopez's obsession with, like, kind of forcing this revelation put me in mind of that.
Yeah, a lot of it kind of plays into the idea that, like, Starger and Jennifer Lopez are both two sides of the same coin in this, in that like, she's wanting to have dominion over other people to help them, whereas he wants dominion over other people to kill them.
Yep.
But he thinks he's helping them. He thinks he's saving them by turning them into these perfect, pristine dolls.
Right.
It's a one-off thing, but they talk about the semen, and so he clearly fucks them.
Yeah,
which
I
don't know if we needed that element. Like,
I did honestly no, but
like, because like the whole point is we're supposed to, like, the movie's big sleight of hand that it's trying to do is trying to get you to sympathize with a killer,
right,
by using their inner child as the collateral for that.
Right, and showing their horrible abuse as a child.
But, like, that's the thing, though, is that just because you had horrible shit happen, and Vince Vaughn's character of all of them is one who says that, like, having horrible things happen to you doesn't make you a bad person.
Yeah.
And it's implied that Vince Vaughn's character had a bunch of horrible things happen to him, that he did not turn into a horrible monster.
Right.
I mean, he is a narc, he is a fed, but, like, we can forgive that. It was 2000. It was a little bit before the current state of things.
He also had a dramatic story about, he used to be a DA, and a serial killer got off on a technicality and then immediately killed again, and that's why he was gonna just focus on catching them. And
Which
let
is
other
worse.
people fuck that up.
Right, which is worse, right? Like, because for him as a DA, they were already caught. And it's like, okay, you catch them, but they might still get off on a technicality. Like, you've just...
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you haven't solved your problem, but whatever.
Yeah, maybe that's a theme of this movie, is people not really solving their problems with the way that they're coping.
Yeah, because, the technology hasn't fixed anything. Like, Mr. E's parents are very impatient for results, and it's been months. They said it's been like 8 months, and there hasn't been any progress. And Lopez doesn't save anybody in this film.
No.
She kills Starger. And it's like, okay, so is our point that, like, the means by which we take to try and help other people are often ineffectual, and it, like, this movie almost is very cynical.
Yeah,
I don't think it's trying to
almost.
be. I think it's accidental.
Yeah.
I don't think this movie is trying to be cynical, but it comes off very cynical.
Yeah, if you, like, dig in a little bit. Because, again, the tone really makes it seem like everything's fine at the end.
But it's like, no, it's not fine. Like, I think that she's legitimately in a worse place than she was when the film started. Like,
yeah.
This is also a film where, like, some of the side characters just don't do anything. Lopez's boss and her, the researcher that helps her go into the dreams, like, they don't really do anything in this film. They don't have really much of a personality to speak of beyond.
They exposit. give the audience information about the
This
technology.
film commits a cardinal sin where characters tell things to each other that they should already know.
Right.
When Vince Vaughn shows up and they're explaining it to him, that's your opportunity to provide the exposition because he doesn't know anything about this technology.
Right.
But like Lopez and her boss are talking to each other, and they're talking to each other about things that they already know. They don't need to talk about this. Like, she knows who she works for. She knows the history of the technology. She's like, yeah, but I didn't make the technology. And it's like, no one said that. Nobody asked that.
Yeah. But like, she also knows exactly how to hack it.
It's like implied that she was really close with the creator of the technology and that she had something to do with it. But I don't.
Yeah, there's a lot of plot contrivances in this movie. I think, again, it's because of the meat of this movie being in the dream world anyway that it doesn't feel like it matters so much. Like the Vince Vaughn solving the puzzle thing, that did bother me, but...
Well, it's because like the film was just like, well, we just got to wrap this part up. Like,
yeah.
And it's like...
Then why was it there?
If your writing solution for a part of your film is to just hand wave it away, then you might want to consider just cutting that element out of your film.
Exactly, yeah.
Her getting consumed into Stargar's fantasy and needing someone else to go in and fish her out, that works. I like that element. To have a third booth there specifically for the plot point of getting lost because they warn you about it so you know it's going to fucking happen.
Right.
That I liked that, but it didn't have to be Vince Vaughn. It could have been the other researcher, and we could have gotten more characterization from her because they had a conversation at the beginning of the film, so they're close. And she's like, "Are you having bad dreams? How are you doing?" Like she's worried about her. So her being the one to go in and save her, would have been more impactful at a narrative level. But it had to be Vince Vaughn because the man has to go save the hot girl.
Yeah, love interest. To the movie's credit, they don't hook up.
Yeah, well, he's like, yeah, I'm just gonna go back to be in my career. Bye. And like, but it's kind of awkward how they're like, the movie is like, it's like the movie turned to the audience, like grabbed the camera, turned to the audience, and was like, yes, we know that we set these up to be a romantic interest, but we're not going to do that. Thanks, audience, and patted us on the head and then moved on. Like, it was the way it was handled was just so like the two characters are coming together like, yeah, should we fuck now? And then they're like, yeah, the script says we don't. Okay, bye. That's literally how it comes off.
It is definitely from Vince Vaughn's side where it almost felt like he expected them to get together, but he didn't want to like say it.
Yeah, it's like
she
was just waiting for him to make a move, and then he didn't, and then she's like, "Well, bye," and then left with Valentine, the goodest boy ever. Before we get into the end of things, how did you feel about this film?
I found it interesting, and I found it mostly engaging, but I did feel a little unfulfilled at the end.
Agree.
It's presented well. Like the filmmaking of it is good, and there's some good ideas in it. Like I said, the dreamscape stuff is good, but a lot of these like loose threads and unclear themes brought it down.
When I was younger, because I grew up with this film, but when I was younger, I would go to my public library and I would just pick a book off the shelf and read it. And so I've read a lot of books, and I don't remember all their titles, but there's this one book that I read one time, and so much of its ideas and imagery have stuck with me, even though I don't remember the title of it. That's what I feel The Cell is. Like the only reason I know the title of the movie is because my mom has it in her video collection, and I know, like, I was like, because one time I was like, what is this movie that I watched a bunch when I was a kid? And then like I found it, I was like, oh, it's this movie. And the scene that sticks with me is when Vince Vaughn is getting his guts pulled out of his body. Like that visual has been in my head since I was fucking 8 years old and way too young to have seen this movie. That's how I feel about this film. Is it's like it's an ephemeral experience that you see when you're younger, or you just like randomly watch because you're just like looking for something, you know. Back before Netflix, you went to the library and just picked something off the shelf and fucking watched it. That's what this is. It's not like the greatest film ever made, but it's so weird that like it works. And the box office agrees. It made $108 million at box office, so it was a successful film. But it was back in the era where sequels weren't really as big of a thing as they are now. So like, it's not like they were going to do anything more with the concept. Although you easily could have used this for way more concepts.
Yeah,
but I'm kind of glad it didn't. I'm glad that it's a self-contained story. Even though the ending it wouldn't have hurt them to just have 10 more minutes of film.
Yeah, for sure. What was one thing you liked and one thing you disliked, Ari?
I really like everything to do with the Emperor.
Yeah.
It's so brutally artistic that like, and clearly it's had a huge impact on my own artistic expression, because this and Hellraiser kind of form the bedrock of like horror about flesh and about experience and desire and body modification as an expression of our inner self, like screaming to be seen from our outside self. It's just things that like I really like feel and resonate with, and clearly they got their hooks into me when I was way too young to have seen any of these movies.
Yeah.
Like, don't let your kids watch Hellraiser, y'all. Like, I watched it when I was fucking 9 years old, and it like,
yeah,
it's changed me. But yeah, like I just really like us when he's stepping off the throne, and like the way that the tarp pulls down to become his royal robes, or when we get to see his glee in just being awful, and like how he's like kind of like when he comes down as the jester when they're in the room together after Vince Vaughn saves Lopez, and then he's just kind of doing backflips and climbing on the walls and stuff like that. Like just this like playful evil. He almost kind of reminds me of Kefka from Final Fantasy VI. He kind of reminds me of Kefka. If anybody who's listening knows that, you can probably see the similarities.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. So yeah, one thing I didn't like, I didn't like how Lopez doesn't have any consequences in this film.
Yeah.
I don't like how the film doesn't really take the time to explore someone with her specific brand of Messiah complex and the bad aspects of it, the parts of it that are causing the problem. Like, she's not a good person. She's trying to be a good person, but she's very conceited, and the film does not do enough justice at the end. Because throughout the film, I'm satisfied with her portrayal throughout the film. I'm not like you. I don't necessarily need it front and center. I like that it's kind of below the surface, and it's like from a superficial glance, you can see that she seems passively like the kind of person you want doing this line of work. And it's only if you try to like dig a little deeper into her character that you see that she is really not.
Yeah.
I like that. I respect that it's got those layers, but the ending doesn't do it any justice, and it kind of just makes me feel like I wasted my time analyzing the character like this.
Right. Yeah.
What about you? What's one thing you liked and one thing you didn't like?
Before we get to that, I want to bring up something that I was reminded of. When she first goes into Starger's mindscape, she sees the like puppet versions of all of his victims, I guess.
Yes.
And one of them is a bodybuilder woman.
Oh yeah, I loved that.
Yeah, I don't know. It did feel a little bit like a freak show horror kind of thing. Like, oh, what if a woman was muscular?
I didn't read it that way. I just kind of read it as like he's got this unhealthy relationship with femininity, and this is all of the manifestation of that, because this is like a servant of his. Like this bodybuilder woman brings.
So is it not one of his victims then?
I don't think it's one of his victims. I think
I was going to say, like, how did he get this one?
No, I think it's just a manifestation of how he simultaneously sees femininity as this powerful thing that needs to be preserved, but also is this object in his collection and is subservient to his will. Like, the Emperor wants people to serve, and he turns them into these dolls so they serve him. But he also obviously uplifts femininity to a point that it becomes this powerful servant of his.
One other thing that happens in the dreamscape is a horse gets cut into sections. There's a live horse in a room, and
A
He's
timer
like-
that's ticking down, and then
Yeah,
and
like-
the inner child keeps looking at it, and then
yeah. And then the horse is still alive, but it's just like pulled apart in these like 3-inch sections. What are we, what the fuck?
I take that as being a representation of how Starger takes apart everything that he looks at and tries to find the things that are most appealing to him. Like there's this horse and it's beautiful and he wants to pick it apart to understand it. The same way that he autopsies and bleaches these girls that he then turns into his dolls. Like
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
kind of the everything to him, everything to the emperor side of him is just meat to be dissected and displayed and repurposed, and understanding things in that way, like as something to be torn apart.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
Yeah, there's like, it's kind of a mix between a childlike curiosity about how things work and
A
sort of-
brutality.
yeah.
Because it's deceptively bloodless.
Yeah.
We see the internal organs and structure of the horse, but there's no pool of blood forming.
Right. And like the heart's still beating, stuff squishing around.
And how that leads directly into his childhood home. Like it's almost like his own curiosity and innocence, because the inner child is petting the horse,
Yeah.
and like taking care of the horse, and then suddenly the timer's up and it comes down and it's like, oh, his inner curiosity, this childlike wonder has been corrupted.
Yeah.
And it's a direct tether to the house that we find, and then that leads her to find him sitting over a bathtub with his first victim, talking about it. Like he's like, this is my first victim. I wasn't as meticulous or as good at it back
Right.
then. I just
Yeah.
kind of drowned her in a bathtub, and like,
Yeah.
and so like the same way that this horse has been picked apart, his relationship with women has been corrupted. Like he, instead of, because like, you know, we get that scene where his dad is abusing him and forces his mom to spread her legs and make him look at it, and like that corrupted his relationship with women to be this thing. They are meat to be dissected.
Yeah. I forgot about that section.
Yeah, there's a lot of like just really gross stuff in this film, like, but it's just blink and you miss it. Like you wouldn't know that he was fucking the dolls unless you just caught that one scene where they talked about it, like, and then they just move on. Hank Schrader from fucking Breaking Bad has a little guest appearance here, I guess.
So I guess one thing that I liked about it is kind of the dream logic aspects, and you know, that kind of like expressionist symbolism that you get in those sections. One thing I disliked, we talked about Vince Vaughn. He was a bit distracting. Also a bit distracting, the fact that the inner child of Starger is played by Lizzie McGuire's brother.
Oh. Yeah, see, I don't have that same distraction like I have with Vince Vaughn.
If you've ever seen Lizzie McGuire, he's just like such an obnoxious little shit in a very exaggerated Disney Channel sort of way. It's weird to see him in a serious context. Not his fault, but you know, that's just how it is. So yeah, I guess kind of the casting is a mixed bag here. Jennifer Lopez, fine. Starger, really good. The dog, perfect.
Excellent. Yeah, 10 out of 10. We love the dog.
Great casting on the dog. And then just like the silly bits that kind of took me out of it, most of which were in the kind of procedural plot line. One other that I forgot about until now, when Vince Vaughn shows up to save the woman from drowning, she's like got 2 inches of air at the top of her tank, and he spends a lot of time before he breaks it, and he like shows her his badge. Like, what are you doing?
Just save her.
Do you need to be invited?
Yeah, he's a vampire. It's fine.
break the glass first.
And like, I like how she broke the piping so that she could scream.
Yeah.
Or she was hitting the piping or something. It was something like that. She like, I liked how she got his attention. I did appreciate that part. It felt like something that, you know, someone would do to try and get someone's attention. It's just in a desperate attempt to just start hitting.
Maybe she was getting a little bit of air from that pipe as well. I don't remember.
I don't remember either exactly, but or like the amount of clown car SWAT people that come out of the vans at the beginning when they go get Starger. Like, so they've tracked him down. Like, so by the 10 minutes into the movie that we've tracked Starger down, like we're going to go get him. And that's when he has this fucking little like stroke that he has or whatever it is. The fucking FBI is like, we're going to move in. And then they just like come out of every fucking possible orifice that they can.
It's a Blues Brothers amount of
like
cops.
There's like and like they don't come out of a SWAT car. They're in like an unmarked colored van, but it's like a pink or something. It's like a pastel like yellow or pink, and they just like open it up and there's just like 20 SWAT agents that come out of this fucking van, and it's like, holy shit, like were you packed in there like sardines or like
yeah so I do recommend watching this movie for sure.
The real cell was the cell they were holding all these SWAT people in.
Yeah.
You know, they were just being, you know, like in a video game, they had like their own little room and they were just pre-loaded into that room, and then when the car opened, they were like spawned in, you know?
Yeah. It's a fun movie to riff with friends, and it's also a kind of good movie.
Yeah, I would give it like it's like 3 out of 5 on the terms of like how I feel about it, but then like a 4 out of 5 in terms of just like my nostalgia, because like I did grow up with this film.
Yeah. I'm glad that you recommended this.
Yay.
Yay.
Ari has weird movies and weird movie accessories. Bye.
I'm still trying to think of a powerhouse on the cell joke that I could cap this with. I got nothing. I'm sorry.
The schizophrenic embolism inside the emperor, inside the serial killer, is the powerhouse of the cell.
There you go. This has been Emissaries from the Void with Ari Stell Hawthorne and myself, Tristan Bowersox. New episodes will be released every other week with short bonus content we're calling liminals in the off weeks. The intro music is Now I Hear Little Dreams by Captive Portal, and the outro music is Arcadia by White Bat Audio. You can find us on Blue Sky at Void Emissaries, and remember that's single M double S. You can find Ari as Obscurity on most platforms and me on Blue Sky and Letterboxd as TB McQueen. The latter is where you will find our watch list and suggest movies you'd like to hear us dissect. You can also email us at emissariesfromthevoid@outlook.com to give feedback, alternate takes on the movies we've discussed, questions, suggestions, etc. Emissaries from the Void is a Void Opal podcast produced by TB McQueen Creative. For something completely different, listen to my other podcast, Fan Fiction Theater.
As the world unravels under the weight of an immortal sorcerer's despair, Tula must confront the man who quite literally stole her heart. Along with a cunning demon bound to her by desperate choices, she journeys through a land scarred by destruction, seeking to be made whole again before darkness consumes everything. A tale of resilience, reckoning, and the cost of hope. A Bird for a Heart explores what it means to hold on to your humanity when the world demands you let it go. A Bird for a Heart is a fantasy fiction podcast, written and recorded by Michael J. Patrick.
Available wherever fine podcasts are found.